Hello, 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 world. This is Shruti Pandey, and today I'm going to record a very amazing and brilliant episode. I know it already. Somehow I feel it in my bones. Again, we are going to talk about solutions this evening. And I'm so happy that I have Akshay with me, who is now the solutions director at Vertice. If you know him via LinkedIn or other means of ways, people listening from the solutions fraternity, you would have known his journey is simply amazing. And I've been wanting to interact with him, to be very, very honest. And many, many congratulations, Akshay, for the solutions director and the new startup that you have joined.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And thanks for having me in this podcast. As I was saying to you earlier, looking at the list of people that you've invited, so very impressive list. So, thanks a lot for inviting me.
Thank you. No, no, thank you so much. And I again want to thank you and apologize at the same time that it's a very interesting time of the year and of your career journey right now. And still, you gave us the time to me and my audience. It really means a lot. So, can't thank you enough.
No worries at all.
So, I've created three questions for you. And as I basically say this, that it consider them as just, the starter points for our conversation. I
Hmm.
may have follow up. So we can do that. And I'll start with the first question, which has got to be, how did you get into solutions engineering? Because in India also, this wasn't traditionally a career path or a role. And I think that has been a thing in history about anything new, right? Nothing was initially there, but something happened. So when this started to come into picture in the US or something outside of India, how did you get into this business and how did you kept rolling for all these years with it?
Yeah, an interesting question actually, because I mean, all I can say is it was never planned by me or for me. So it just happened. But I mean, if I go when I started my career back in time, 16, 17 years back. My story is no different than a typical Indian. So I graduated in engineering, did my computer science engineering. Then post that, I joined a big IT consulting firm, TCS. I guess because that was the right thing to do back in the day. Um, and if you remember, these companies, they basically put you on projects, right? So if you're not on a project, you're on a bench.
Yeah.
And For some reason, no control of mine, they put me on a project which was very non-software coding related. So somehow I landed myself onto a team that was newly formed. Um, that team was basically tasked with digitizing back office operations for banks, and they put me there as a business analyst. So I wouldn't call it as a pre-sales slash solutions engineering, but I started getting exposure to all these GTM activities like requirements gathering, talking to clients, preparing presentations, business cases. Um, I wasn't doing any demos back then because we used to present a product in slides. That was the best and the safe way to do it. Uh, and then I like beyond that, I came to the UK. I did my master's, and then after that, I joined a fintech company, um, and I joined their product team. So in the product team, again, I joined them as a product business analyst, and there, again, I was, very closer to the clients, talking to them, presenting to them. We didn't have a pre-sales team back then, so I was also doing some light touch demos. But by that time, I was fairly confident, and also had a realization that, I love being in front of the customers, and I that's where I want to build my career. So I think it was in 2015. One of the ad tech companies, they reached out to me and they said, "Would you like to join us as a solutions engineer?" And to be honest, I got confused. Like, what is this role? Like, is
Yeah.
it solutions? Is it an engineer role? I had to look it up, right? And I couldn't find much on the internet. But then the hiring manager was great. I mean, he was able to convince me. He said, like, look, it's a role where you have to be in front of the customers, do the demos, but solve big problems for them. And like I think those things clicked with me. So that was my first sort of classic introduction into solutions engineering. Yes, you're right. Like it was an American based company, so a lot of the practices in terms of how SEs should work, operate. So learned a lot there, and then I moved into another company after experiencing that, where I had to build, an SC team and also the post sales team from the ground up. So like now the line is blurring between the solutions engineering and post sales. So it's becoming like a solutions team. And I think there are good reasons for that, especially in the SaaS industry. So yeah, been there for 8 years, and again, you know, uh, for the initial part, I did the post sales as well along with the pre sales, but then the function got split, right? After 18 months, so focused more on solutions engineering. And then I guess because there's again increasing need for these functions to be together. So I've joined another company now with the same sort of single combination of both pre-sales and post-sales.
Right, right. You remind me of a couple of things, and without taking away from your shine, just trying to uh, think of this in terms of relatability of one solutions engineer with another one. It
Hmm.
basically, like, I think when we are first put into solutions, I think even the company and the hiring managers don't know what to do with solutions. I think how did you really figure that out? Because I remember when my ex-colleagues finally got to know I've done something like this and I've joined a startup and solutions engineering, which was 2019, but still in India there was no concept of it. Half of them were like, oh, you ruined your career because you were already a lead and this and that, and do you know what you're doing? And half of my brain was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is challenging and you need to try some things out, right? I mean, you get this career, you make or break it. Like, did anything of the sort happen with you, or like anything of nervousness, or how did you plan or prepare this once joining the ride?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't any planning or preparation. In fact, like when I joined my first role as an SE, it was a bit of a um, I wouldn't say surprise, but yeah, enlightenment. Because I was carrying some previous notions of how certain things should happen, and I think the world was rapidly changing in terms of how SaaS was sold, right? Or how differently it was sold than most of the enterprise softwares. When you talk about Oracles of the world or you know Sage for that matter, it was quite fast paced. The tech companies had become very, very cool. So it wasn't that you had to suit up to go to a client meeting. So apart from all that, all those social elements, but also, I mean, what does it take to be a solutions engineer? So I was fortunate enough to learn a lot from my peers and my seniors who had played the game for some time. And then like over the time, I guess with any job or profession, right? The more you do it, the more you learn by falling, right? And then you understand what you don't have to repeat the next time. And I think that's how I think most people learn over time.
That's lovely and so concise. I also want to understand, like you mentioned, initially you had to take care of everything, be it pre-sales, post-sales. And can't, I mean, I totally agree you on that. And I think being in India, you also have to sometimes support all the time zones, like right from Australia to America, you're just working when you're in a startup, like you mentioned, how cool and sometimes in my head it goes brutal it can be. So is it, do you think it's just like our subcontinent thing that we have to support everything, or it's not about like support function, but as a solutions engineer, when you get into it and you're a new startup and you want to, see the ball going and things happening, like did those things also happen in your time zone or your place, or is it like, okay, you have a fine boundary and how do you maintain it? I just want to understand for the betterment of all.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question because in my time, yes, I had to manage few time zones initially, and I guess it primarily depends upon the maturity of the company in terms of how broadly they're set up to cover those different geographies and the time zones. Sometimes companies just choose to be global from one particular geography, and that's a completely independent decision depending upon what best works for the company at that particular time, right? But over the time, like when company grows, I think it's natural for them to set up these local geographical offices where then you have local teams and then the pressure eases off, so you don't have to get up early to do a APAC demo, or like, stay up late for a US call. I mean, obviously there will be some calls here and there, because you still want to work closely with the other teams and collaborate with them.
Right.
Um, so it's a very it's a question dependent uh, completely on the company and how they're set up, to be honest, rather than just boxing one particular segment into that, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, and I'm sorry that I put you in the spot, because I think when startups start, they will be starting off from one location, right? And they don't have much officers. It's just that the AEs or the BDRs have made some call and they're like, oh, we've got something and we've got someone. So just do this and let's see how this goes. And I think the beauty of solutions is like you get greedy sometimes and you feel like, okay, yeah, I need to do this and see how things go. So I think it's a double-edged sword. But while I'm on the double-edged sword aspect of
Mhm.
this, can you help me understand what are the best and the worst aspects or things about pre-sales or solutions, whatever your opinion or your experiences are?
And this is just for like how I feel, or how I feel for the broader community.
Yeah, in general, whatever you feel like, anything
Yeah.
that is
So,
comfortable.
hmm. Yeah, I think the best thing comes up very easily, right? Like, because I can closely relate to what I enjoy, and like I said in my previous answer, like one of the best things for me is to be in front of the customers. That's something I enjoy personally quite a lot. Um, I don't know if like I wouldn't say it comes naturally to me, but I have done a lot of theater back in the days. So I see a role of an SE is someone who can go in into a room, put up a great show, and really dazzle their audience, right? And I think if you do that well,
Yeah,
first of all, you're in a unique position because you have a really good understanding of the business. You have the business acumen, and then you have the technical knowledge, right? So you're doing sales, you're doing your product work, and if you do it well, I mean, you can be the smartest person in the room, and who wouldn't like to be that?
for
So I think that's if SCs really like that, I think that's the perfect job for them. Um, Even from a post sales point of view, like I think one of the things that really clicked for me is that whatever happens in the sales, it's that team that is actually helping the client achieve and realize the value by making them get onto the platform. And when you see them actually using it and reaping the benefits, that's a real pleasure of solving a particular problem. So those are the good things, obviously.
yeah,
um, I guess when it comes to the worst, I guess it's difficult to
yeah.
pinpoint on a particular
So
thing or
many
two, but
answers.
I feel,
There's so
yeah, but I
many.
feel like anything,
So,
yeah, I mean, anything that, so if you know that you can do it, and if you know what needs to be done, I think anything, if it's a person or a thing that stops you to do it, as in like, or makes it difficult for you to do it, is frustrating. And
yeah,
like if I have to put some examples, let's say if you're in a position where you know how you can deliver really good, compelling proposition or a demo, but you're not able to sit with the client and understand their challenges, like, or do a discovery. Like
okay.
that could be frustrating. Or if you are, showcasing or delivering a product, but the product is not working in the way it is intended to. Again, I mean,
That's
there's
all the
much you can
time.
do, right? But I mean, it's the reality. We all find ourselves in such a situation. So I mean, it's a bit of a challenge to navigate through, but it does create irritation or frustration sometimes.
I just feel like adding this to be like my inner solutions engineer can't shut up right now. And I have to say this out like, I really enjoy discoveries. It's so much fun. And, I think, like you said, it's so real. A lot of it is, it's actually about how you are as a person and your personality. It's such an amazing role. I think engineers never had something like this before. It's like a blend of everything from tech to
Mm.
science to, and when you mentioned right about the theater aspect, even before that, I think I kind of gauged and I was happy that my psychology lessons are actually,
Okay.
if at all I'm paying heed to it and learning, not that I'm learning explicitly, but you have that in you, so you are a true blue solutions engineer when I talk to you or I interact with you. I don't know why, I just felt it. And when you mentioned initially while stating that answer, right, that I like to be in front of customers, and you've said this twice, I guess. I was like, yeah, he has this heroic feeling about it, right? I love being in front of, and you
No,
said
nothing that
that.
dramatic, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I just said theater. I was like, oh my God. I kind of gauged this right, and it was spooky for me. But I think it's so true. Everybody likes to be, hero in someone's story. And solutions engineer is such an amazing and dramatic role, and frustrating as well, because sometimes it's about which line of business am I part of, which manager can
Mhm.
actually, I'm sorry, save my ass when I get in trouble, because
Yeah,
everybody's so happy when things are getting right, but there's no one to cover me up when anything for that
yeah,
matter goes wrong. So I think it's such an amazing profession. It's so much
yeah.
about,
That's a very very true statement. You're a perfect friend when things are right and rosy,
yeah.
but you get alienated very, very quickly if things
Very
go wrong.
soon, very soon. And I mean, I realized this when, it was so new to me coming from tech. And you have the similar story, right? Coming from pure tech background to suddenly
Hmm.
this. And you're like, oh, wow, everybody's pally. And then suddenly it's like, why is everything working for you? I'm like, what? How are you so good? And I'm like, isn't this how it's supposed to be? Like, aren't you supposed
Hmm.
to do good things and stuff? And what's happening? So I'm not even sure how things turn and what happens inside this
Hmm.
sales SaaS world. And it's such a dangerous place. You have to be really sure of where you're keeping your places. So I don't know if I'm describing the worst or what, but I don't even know how to explain it. But there's
Yeah,
so much of good. Like sometimes you feel so fulfilling about the role and the character you are in. You're like, okay,
yeah,
I don't care what's happening.
yeah. I think, and you're right. Like because I think that's the feeling that is being driven is ultimately that like that person is able to solve the problem, which was a hard problem, and they're able to solve that problem, competing with others, like which are the competitors. So
Yeah.
when you get selected, it's a feeling of triumph, right?
Yeah, I feel like Batman, I saved Gotham, something like that. So yeah,
Nice.
this is really great, and I think I really put a very hard ball on this one, like best and worst. I don't know how much time I'll have to apologize you, but I think that was a tough question. It's so easy to frame, it's so difficult to answer. But moving on to my last part, I
Hmm.
think this would get even a little tougher because again, like you have been in the solutions arena for a good amount of time, good amount of companies, and seen the journey
Hmm.
of this business unit
Hmm.
as such. What do you think would be the biggest or are the biggest challenges for solutions engineering in 2025? Do you think there are any, or like we have done it all?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for solutions engineering, and I think the role is um, rapidly expanding a lot, especially in the SaaS, and something that I also observed and experienced in the last few years. That the I think the scope of SEs to work with the existing clients
Right.
in a SaaS world is increasingly becoming important, and it's primarily from the point of view they are getting more and more involved in SaaS renewals, SaaS expansions, of churn prevention. So we used to be very reactive back in the days. Like if there's a deal to be dealt with, or if there's a demo to be done, yeah, request one SE. But I think it'll be quite critical for business functions to realize how this particular domain, including post-sales, can be used to create ongoing experiences with the clients, existing clients, and see how we can better work with customer success, who have a very important task at hand, but how we can partner with them to keep on selling those new experiences, keep on reiterating the value of our product, but also making sure that they're our clients are continuously achieving the value from what we have to offer. So that's one. Like how do we find that perfect harmony, and like how do we utilize that function more? So I think it has to be one of the challenges. And I think the second one, again based on my experience, is like companies who and there's a lot of companies now when they start, let's say SMB, or when they start from the start, they basically start the mid-market space, right? So, I mean, it's not easy to go into the enterprise segment. So either there's a company starting from mid-market, or either there's a company started from SaaS and now they want to break into mid-market. The the funny thing about mid-market segment is that the mid-market wants to behave or is behaving like enterprise. So they want your full attention, they
Yeah.
want a very high touch service, but they don't want to pay the dollars of an enterprise. So for any solutions organization, it becomes really hard um, to have a balance between being customer centric and also be scalable, because you can't be there with the customer all the time and let all the other customers suffer. So they have to find a perfect balance in terms of how um, um, they can be high touch for certain things and low touch for, let's say, broader set of things which have lower impact. An analogy, like a funny analogy, could be like if they're brought in as a, let's say, a SWAT team to do a particular task, um, which requires their attention and high touch service. But then, think of developing tools, strategies, tactics where, for lower combat battles, they can sit in their room and, like, I don't know, operate through drones or something. When I say drones, like tools and like these scalable strategies. So I think that will be something I think would be quite challenging to find a way to perfectly deal with this market.
I'm pretty sure there were so many things, I mean, the deals and work that you've done going in your head when you're talking about this. And the same things were happening in my head. And I think sometimes I feel that we, as like you mentioned, the SWAT team, the way we go all, not really dressed up or suited up, but the way
Mhm.
we behave, I think we have kind of ruined the mid-market people's attitude and stuff, because they have also gotten a little greedy for the fact that,
Mhm.
oh, all these people, all this attention for me, then like, why not? I think
Yeah,
something is there which we have done, which
yeah.
has actually instigated them to do this. But there's one aspect of all this solutions engineering which I was trying to avoid. But even with your final answer, I think I have to dive deep into this because
Mhm.
in solutions engineering, sometimes there are really no fine lines given your product. For example, I might have a very, very technical product. So just a demo or a discovery and the initial stuff or the part of funnel wouldn't really help until unless they plug and play my solution and see something, which most companies would have like, oh, this would happen post sales until unless you sign off a paid
Mhm.
fee and this or that. So sometimes it's like as a solutions engineer, you might be stepping onto so many people's roles, which they might think is happening like a CSM or a tech
Mhm.
CSM or the post
Mhm.
entire gamut of it. But sometimes just to have that deal go, you have to, cross your boundaries. And I hope you're getting what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
in a
yeah,
very, very smart and
yeah,
yeah, secretive way. But
yeah,
that's how the cookie crumbles, right? Sometimes a solutions engineer role, and most of the time, it's not very defined, right? Like it has a geography. Oh, it's
yeah,
to do just this. Sometimes to make things work, you have to do everything. Okay, why this connection is not working until unless this happens, they won't be able to see it. Something like that, or something like
yeah,
they're trying the stuff out until unless they do this, they won't sign anything at all. So how do
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
be managing this crazy,
Yeah,
crazy?
I think it boils down to and this is like a very very important skill that an SE needs to have, like, is to make friends, right? Make
Yeah.
friends, build relationships internally, externally, that they can rely on. I think you rightly point out that like a solutions engineer is that particular critical point which connects to like everything. And I guess I think an SC would definitely need a good support from the leadership, but also from their sales leadership, right? So if you're working on making something happen, you need to clearly understand what the outcomes are, and you need to articulate those outcomes to the respective teams and what are the expectations from them. And then, of course, like, if there are challenges where they might or might not be able to do certain things, you can politely put across that, look, I mean, this is what needs to be done. It'd be great based on your experience if you can do it, because I think you're in the perfect position to do it. But of course, like if you're pressed for time, I don't mind like taking that workload off from you, but still get guidance from you. And that way, you're sort of making them feel great about the role a bit because they are great, but you're iterating that, look, this needs to be done. Let's find a way to do it together.
This is crazy. And I love it how, with a smile and a smirk, you were answering that, because sometimes it makes me question my own, integrity. Like, am I being like a devil's advocate? And I mean, can I do something like this? So it's just, my values and ethics coming into picture. But thank you for answering that question, because I think it's so important for SEs to learn everything, right? Right from the
Mhm.
politics to the communication skills to how to handle a demo which would probably break or not work at the runtime.
Mhm.
Everything. It's like everything is on the fly, on the run. So, are there any parting thoughts or any, 2 cents that you would like to give to the audience who are listening to you about this whole gamut called solutions engineering?
Yeah, I think, and selfishly speaking, or like very biased opinion, but I think it's one of the best jobs if you're in the tech industry. And yeah, you have to do it to experience it. But I think you can get to do so many things. I mean, you can get to do sales, you can get to do product, you can do marketing, as in like you can work with marketing teams, do amazing like webinars, talk shows. Uh, yeah, so there's, I mean, if you like doing different things, if you like being in front of the people, if you like solving difficult problems, I mean, yeah, definitely a job worth trying.
That's how beautifully and well put and summarized. Thank you so, so much, Akshay. Again, thank you so much for giving me your time today. And this conversation is so enriching that I think more than the audience, I'm going to wait to just, release and finish this one. Seriously. Thank you so much.
Awesome. No, thank you for having me. Like I said, yeah, it's a great honor to be on your podcast. So thanks for inviting me. I had
Thank
a great time.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.